The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said to the crowds, "When you see a cloud rising in the west, you say immediately, 'It is going to rain,' and so it does. And when you notice that the wind is blowing from the south, you say that it is going to be hot, and so it is. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. Why do you not know how to interpret the present time? Why do you not judge for yourselves what is right? If you are to go with your opponent before a magistrate, make an effort to settle the matter on the way. Otherwise, your opponent will turn you over to the judge, and the judge hand you over to the constable, and the constable throw you into prison. I say to you, you will not be released until you have paid the last penny." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Students, in the last few weeks, I had one of your moms call me. And don't worry, she didn't say anything about you. She called me and she said, "Father, can you do me a favor?" She said, "There's a woman who I've been friends with for many, many years, and she only has a few days left to live. She's in a nursing home and she has stopped eating. Father, she is a Catholic woman, but she's been away from the church for a long time. Would you please go there and visit and try to do what you can?" And I said, okay, I'll do my best. I'll go this afternoon. Because whenever someone calls with an emergency like that, you don't want to waste any time. Because what if someone goes unconscious and they can't speak? And so I made my way right over. And what was my greatest hope as I went to see this woman? What was I praying for above all else? Joseph? That I could bring her back, that I could turn her back to the church. But what would be necessary in order for that to happen? Bob, you got a haircut. Bob. For her to stay alive until I got there. What would happen when I get there? What would she need to do after so many years? Kirsten? She would need to go to confession. She's been gone from the church for a long, long time. And so I'm driving over there, and I'm praying to our Blessed Mother. Then I'm praying to St. Joseph, and St. Therese, and Padre Pio. And I call on St. Michael the Archangel. I say, "St. Michael, you got to protect us, right? Make sure this happens." And so I get there, and I go into her room, and I could tell immediately she was not expecting to see a priest. And there's this hesitancy. And she says, she doesn't call me Father, she says, "Sir, what are you doing here?" And whenever a Catholic says "sir," it means they don't want to see a priest right then. And so I go in and I sit down and I say, "I came to anoint you, to give you strength. I know you're close to the end, and I brought you Holy Communion. Would you like to receive our Lord?" And she says, "Father, I haven't received Holy Communion in years." And so I said, "Okay." And so that was my entrance in, right? I said, "Okay, it's been a long time since you received Holy Communion, so you'll need to go to confession first. Why don't we start with that?" And she looked down at her watch. She said, "Father, maybe you need to come back at another time. I don't have a lot of time right now." And I looked at her and I said, "There might not be another time." And she said, "Okay, Father." And so she starts to make her confession. And a priest can tell when a person is making a good confession or when they're making a superficial confession. When they're not really saying what they need to say. And this woman was making a superficial confession. And after a couple of minutes she said, "Okay, Father, that's it." And I looked at her and I said, "I want to make sure that there is nothing in your life that will prevent you from going to heaven. You have a few days left to live, and I want to make sure your soul is entirely pure. I said, is there anything from your past that you have not said that needs to be said? And she started to cry. And she dropped her head, and tears began to stream down her cheeks. And she said, yes, Father, there's one thing. And I've never told anybody in my entire life. It's the thing that has brought me the greatest shame. And she struggled to even say it. And then finally the words came out of her mouth. And I gave her absolution. And I anointed her, and she received Holy Communion. And this woman, when I left, was so radiantly joyful. She was so at peace. It was amazing. And I've been praying for that woman the last couple of weeks, because the truth is she lived a life that was not worthy of heaven. But God is so good that He wanted to make sure that she was reconciled to Him before she died. But because she lived a life that didn't deserve heaven, she might have had to gone to purgatory. And so I've been praying for her, Lord, if she is there, set her free so that she can be with you and see you face to face. Our Lord said in the gospel today, for those who are not ready to be judged, for those who have something on their conscience, there's a place they go, and they're not released until they pay the last penny. And that's what Catholics understand as purgatory. That God does not want a single soul to be lost. But for those who aren't ready for heaven, there's a place they can go to be purified so that they can go to heaven. Not too long ago, I was reading about Saint Faustina. And one time her guardian angel came to her. And he brought her to purgatory. And she goes to purgatory, and this is how she described it. She said it was a misty place. It was all gray. And she could see many souls there. And the souls she saw there, they were praying fervently. They wanted to be released from there. And yet she realized that their prayers did nothing for them. And she understood that only people on earth can pray and sacrifice for them so that they can go to heaven. And she looked at one of them and she said, can I ask you, what is your greatest sorrow here in purgatory? And the man said, it is this, that deep in my heart I have a longing to see God, and I have to wait. And then all of a sudden Faustina saw our Blessed Mother Mary come to purgatory, and she brought refreshment to the souls who were there, so that in the midst of their expectation, they would still receive some comfort. Students, I close with this. A number of years ago, when my older sister and I were still in college, one day we were home for a break, and my Uncle Joe was with us, and my sister had just read A Life of a Saint, and she says to me and to Joe, she says, we've got to be saints. This world needs saints to witness to the rest of the world. And I said, Kim, I totally agree. And my Uncle Joe said, Kim, that might be for you and for your brother, but I'm just hoping to get in the back door of purgatory. And my sister said, Joe, you can't shoot for purgatory, because what if you come up short? You got to shoot for heaven, so if you come up short, at least you go to purgatory. Students, we've got to shoot for heaven. The world needs the witness of saints and those who are willing to pray for the souls in purgatory, that their suffering might be short.